Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this CartoVista webinar online. My name is Danny Bouchard. I am the president and founder of CartoVista. I'm really excited to be here with you today. We have great content to share. But before we get started, I just wanted to introduce myself and describe what CartoVista is. I personally have always had a passion for great looking maps that convey a clean, powerful business message. Geographic data can be so inspiring when it is properly designed. Better cartography and interaction with the user have always been at the center of what we do at CartoVista. We realize that the experience offered by GIS software out there is often not ideal. CartoVista is a response to our clients wanting to create better interactive maps online and make better decisions. The last 6 months, we've been really hard at work on software enhancements that are quite excited to have new partners and customers use our cloud platform, CartoVista Online. This includes GIS partners like Catalyst, PCI Geomatics, ICI Innovation, and InfoSat, for example, in the remote sensing space. As an example, we've been successful together with global leaders in the mining industry, such as Nalcor Energy or Pan American Energy in Argentina. We're helping them take information from the hands of technical staff to decision makers. In sum, today's web is an amazing opportunity to bridge that gap and think differently about how we work with data. To explore all of this, I'm quite happy to have our GIS sales manager, Alexa Gertin, joining us on this webinar today. Good afternoon, Alexa. How are you?
Hello, Danny. I'm good. It's good morning for me, though, because I'm on the West Coast today.
Yes, from beautiful British Columbia. So this is
Yes.
great. Hopefully the forest fires are not blocking the way.
No, we've got good weather and blue skies today, so it's looking good.
Good. If you could take a few minutes just to introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Of course, thank you, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on our webinar. It's not every day we get our president and founder with us. So my name is Alexa. I've been working in the GIS industry for about 10 years. I've worked in federal science departments, agriculture, and advertising research. All these jobs required some form of GIS analysis. And if there's one thing I found throughout my career is that it's very difficult to find a user-friendly online platform where I can share maps easily, especially with my coworkers, colleagues, or even people who are not GIS users. You sometimes need to convey your maps and messages in an easy, readable manner. And I'm happy today to demonstrate CartoVista as a solution for that. CartoVista has revolutionized online access to data through interactive, user-friendly maps. So to get us started, I'm going to pass it back to Danny. He'll take us through our schedule for today.
For sure. So we're going to start with a very quick introduction and a quick poll. So you'll be asked for your input. You should see that on your screen. Following that, we should have Alexa's presentation for about 20 minutes. We'll talk about a feature poll in the end, see what features you like the most. We'll talk about how we can get you going with the software trial if you haven't done already, and we'll finish the session with the questions and answers. So why don't we get the ball rolling with the poll? So I'm gonna get the poll going here. Start the poll right now. So you should see a few questions popping up on your screen right now. There's 3 questions. You can take a minute to answer those questions. Make sure you scroll down. There's 3 of them. So I'm gonna leave you guys a few minutes to answer questions about which GIS system you use and some of your feedback. So that would be appreciated. I'll be back in just about a minute and I'll share with the rest of the team. right. So I'm just gonna share the results with pretty much everyone here so you could see. So Alexa, it looks like we've got, a mixed audience of GIS users out there. Some people are using, it looks like ArcGIS, Esri, and some people are using QGIS, which is not uncommon.
Yeah, of course. It's great to see that we've got people here who haven't really used CartoVista yet. So we're going to be demonstrating today all of its not all of its capabilities. We'll be scratching the surface of its capabilities, but the ones that stand out for sure. And we can see here on question 3 that most people are interested in presenting their maps and data, which is CartoVista is a great solution for presenting your GIS data.
Beautiful. So why don't we get going, I guess, with the next step, so you can take control of the screen and you can now wow us with this great presentation of what CartoVista is all about. So you can take over. The screen is all yours.
Perfect. Thank you. You should be able to see my browser now.
Yes.
Perfect. So what we're looking at right now is our online web portal. This is where your maps will be organized and stored. Your data will be uploaded here and connected through our server to the maps. You can also manage your users and access permissions to all your maps and data. If we were to click on a map here, which we'll be taking a look at in a second, you can get information on your map very easily, when it was created, when it was last modified, who is the author of this map. You have a easy access URL to be able to share your maps with your colleagues or elsewhere. You also have some more additional modifications here to make. If you wanted to make your maps public, you can. You can make them editable to your viewers. You can grant access permissions and modification permissions directly from this window here. So I'll get right into it and I'll do a demonstration of one of our maps. This is a municipal map of Chicago. It is a custom map created by CartoVista using all open source data. We've got a custom created base map here, and one of the great capabilities of CartoVista is that you are going to be able to create your own tiled base maps. If you wanted to make them specific to your branding, or you just wanted to get creative with a base map, you have full capabilities to do that with your CartoVista subscription. Now, as we can see in this window, we've got a lot of map components that are useful. We've got our zoom, pan, measuring tool, selection tool, as well as a address search here at the top bar. Over here on the right-hand side, we have infographics that is connected directly to our data in the map. We have our legend, which is interactive. As you see me roll over the classifications and ranges here, they highlight within the map and also within the data table at the bottom. We have our layer control, where you can turn your layers on and off. You have the capability of adding transparency, labels. You even have capabilities of adding multiple different types of base maps. If you needed aerial imagery or a hybrid between the two, you can do so very easily. CartoVista has capabilities to load in many different base maps for your needs. We can explore the data here in our data table. You have the option to select from multiple different layers. The table itself is all customizable, and you can filter and sort. If I wanted to sort, you just simply need to hit on the header and you can go through ascending, descending, cleared. We've got a filter option. It's very simple. You just need to type in, for example, if I needed to find a block group that is a population greater than 1,000, I'd type it in, hit filter, and the software would return my record. If I wanted to get a closer look at this record, I simply need to double click and it will automatically pan and zoom to the location. This is one way to select your data through the table. Another way would be to manually select through our toolbar. As I roll over some of the tools here in the toolbar, you can see that there's an info tip that pops up, so it can help you and your users guide you through your experience in CartoVista. If you're fresh here or you have an inexperienced user, they have all the tips and tricks right here directly in the application. You can select by manual selection. If I were to click and hold shift, I can add to my selection, and you can see here the table is populating with my selection. And as well, dynamically, the info table or the info charts on the side are also updating based off of my selection. So you can see that selection changing. We can also select by polygon, so we can see how that looks when we've got multiple different records. We can see we've got 22 records here and 22 records within our selection. Another great interactive tool for CartoVista is our rollover. Our rollover includes an data tip where all information that your map creator wants to include can include into the data tip, as well as if I were to click on a feature, a info table pops up here on the side window with more information. Again, this is all customizable by your map creator. So here we've been taking a look at one thematic. We want to think of our application here as almost like a library. So you can have multiple different views. You know, in Chicago, we're not just interested in population and density. We've got many different thematics here. So we're going to go take a look at another one. For right now, let's go take a look at emergency infrastructures. You can go back to your initial extent just by hitting the initial extent button. As we can see in this table, we've got our points. These are emergency infrastructure points, police stations, health centers, things like that. We have labels attached to our points, so we know what we're looking at. Labels are completely dynamic, meaning that if I were to zoom in and zoom out, the labels automatically adjust based off of proximity to other features. This is a great interactive way to look at your map so that we don't have any overlapping and the map is always aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't get cluttered and overrun. If I needed to search for a specific point, I don't know where it is geographically, but I do know a keyword. You can always hit the search button at the top right corner and start looking. If I wanted to find a health center with the term south, I can click south and I would have my return records here in the search table. And similar to the data table, I can just double click and it will automatically pan and zoom to the next location. You also have the ability to add or search on multiple different layers. So go take a look at another thematic. We've got landmarks. Chicago is known for its rich history. So we've got a point feature here of landmarks, famous landmarks within Chicago. As you see me roll over the data tip, we can see that we have multimedia included in this layer. So CartoVista is completely compatible to add multimedia that includes photos, videos, and web links. Another neat feature here, if I were to click on an info, click on a point, sorry, and get the information on it, I've clicked on something that is overlapping. The software recognizes that, and we get a list here of all the points that I clicked on. We've got 14. If I wanted to look through the info on these 14, I can easily just click on one of the records and I can hit next and filter through. This is a quick and easy way to take a look at your data. One last thematic that I'll take a look at here with you today on our Chicago map is arrests in 2019. Now this layer is quite large. It is a point data of locations where arrests have happened in Chicago in 2019. These points are displayed as clusters. The clusters are created based off of proximity to other points. This is a very useful tool for when you have large data sets. As you can see in my legend here, we've got thousands of records. And the clusters are very easy to turn on and off. In our layer control, you can see here I've got arrests in 2019. It's as simple as clicking on and off the clusters. However, when I take my clusters off and I have a data set this large, it's not very easy to make sense of what's going on. It's overcrowded, a lot going on. So we keep our clusters on here and they will automatically create based off of proximity to other points. Now, when I zoom in, the clusters will automatically reevaluate and recluster based off of proximity. So you can see they start to break apart. We've got smaller clusters and points will start to show up. If I were to click on one of these clusters and get information, we see this cluster has 7 points attached to it. And then we get the records returned in our info table, similar to where I was showing you the multimedia and landmarks, where you can do the same thing and filter through all 7 records that are included in this cluster. Now, we've been taking a look at thematics that were created by a map user, by a map creator. But however, your users also have the ability to create thematics in their map. I'm just going to clear all my layers so we can start from scratch. It's as simple as clicking a button to add a thematic. Here we have the add button, the plus sign. You can select which layer you want to create a thematic on. I'm going to select block groups, and I'm curious about what the unemployment rate is in Chicago. So I'll just click the column that's within my block groups data table, and you have the option to select what type of design you want to use. If you want to use graduated symbols, gradients, I'm going to select the default color ranges and just hit add. And now we can see that we've got our block groups based off of unemployment rate within Chicago. Your thematic is completely customizable. If I just hit the gear here, we can manage, the transparency on the layer. We can take a look at different ranges. You can even manage how the layer was calculated, which type of calculation you'd like to use. You can change the color, and you can even dynamically change the color here in the legend if I wanted to really see this high unemployment rate classification. I can just make it a different color, make it stand out. So now I know where the highest unemployment rates are in Chicago. You can choose to hit OK, remove, and cancel your changes. A really great tool with CartoVista with map sharing. And for example, if I wanted to share my map with a coworker and I had some notes to pass along or some edits to make, I could do so using annotations. So here with the little pencil button, I can add annotations. I've got text, I can say that Alexa was here. And you can add points. You can even add a point manually, and by a specific address, you just need to start typing in the address and it will show you some options for where to add an address. You can click it. It'll show you where the point is. You can choose to add or cancel. You can add lines and polygons. A great feature of the lines and polygons is that they include the measurements, so you can see the distance, the area, whichever you need. So I want to pass on these changes and edits to another map user, I can save this as a session. It's very simple. You just need to hit the save up here. It saves as a session. Got Alexa session. You can grant permission, so you can have access permission or modification permissions. If you wanted to keep this private, you just need to turn off permissions, and this will be a map session that is just saved for yourself. You can also open a session upon loading your map, or you can do so afterwards. If I wanted to print my map, it's just as simple as you could either download it as an image, you would get your map as an image. You can also export your data and your map to Excel. However, we also have the great print layout function where you can have your map, you can manage your map components, move them around, add some branding, logos, update, add text and information. You have the ability to also format this as a poster or different printing formats for your specific needs. So far we've been taking a look at a vector map. However, we also, CartoVista also supports raster data. So I'm going to take you over to another map now where we can take a look at raster data. Raster data has become, increasingly accessible, and it's become more popular in use cases, especially for decision making in environmental sciences. We've got a lot of clients who have grown the need for raster data support. So in the last 6 months, CartoVista has added this feature where we can take a look at raster data. So the map that I'm loading here right now is a map on insurance claims related to precipitation. So we've got a grid layer where we can see our precipitation in a time series. We can associate our insurance claims to the grid data. You can see here that we have a time series of our grid, and if I were to click through, you can see that the grid layer itself updates and changes through the time series. You can do it manually, or you can choose to hit the play button and have it play out based on the time and date. A great feature for our raster data is that it is interactive. As I roll over, you can see that the info, the data tip here updates with value numbers. If I were to click on a specific location, you can see that the info window here populates, and we can see that specific point and value that's associated to it. The grid layer in the legend is also interactive. As I roll my mouse over the legend, you can see it highlights within the map. So it's great presentation tool. If I need to highlight a specific location based off of its value, I can do so through the legend. You could also create grid profiles. For example, you can do it by line polygon. Here I'll do it by a circular radius, and it will grab an area of interest and create a histogram. The histogram is also interactive. As I roll over, you can see the values updating, and within the map and area of interest, you can see this specific range is also highlighted. Another great tool for when you're presenting your raster data. The histogram is also downloadable. If you hit the download button, you can export to multiple formats, PNG, you can export to Excel. Our preferred method is through SVG. This is a great format for when you need to embed onto a PDF or a website, as you don't lose any resolution when you're zooming in and out, and it keeps the preferred method for downloading an image here from the CartoVista. I'll take you to another raster example where we have a digital elevation model. The digital elevation model is very popular among our clients. We need to see elevations within a certain area. Our example today is actually in the Gatineau Hills, where our office location is very close to. It is a popular location for bikers because we've got some variable terrain. As you can see here, we've got some hills. On top is a vector file of our bike paths within the Gatineau Hills. Danny is actually one of our bikers who frequently bikes up here in the Gatineau Hills. So what we're going to do today is create a bike path for him. Hopefully it's not too difficult of a bike ride for you.
You never know.
Yeah, they're always different. So as we did before, we had a profile view of an area. Here we can do it by a line. If we want to choose a specific location, you can create your own. For example, I'll just create one right here. We can see that it gave us the returned histogram. We can see how long this bike ride is, what the minimum values are, minimum heights, and the range between your entire ride. A great feature here is the ability to have your vector data interact with your grid data. I forgot to mention that our grid analysis here is all based on the GeoTIFF format. So this GeoTIFF is supported by CartoVista. If I were to just click on this feature, the program grabs all the information from the raster that is directly underneath the vector, and we can see that we've got our return values from that specific line. So great feature for when you need to have your vector data interact with your grid analysis. This is something rare to find, and a great tool supported by CartoVista. So I've shown you guys the front end of what your clients and your users will experience when they're in the application. I'm going to take us back though to our portal and give you a little tour of what it will look like for you when you sign up, where your data is stored and what it's going to look like. So we've already taken a look at our map gallery. You can see that everything is organized into folders. You can organize your information and your maps based off of projects or by date, whichever. It's all up to you on how you want to organize your map portal. You can see that we've got our data organized in the same manner. We have them split up by their projects. We'll take a look and go into one. Here's our municipal, our Chicago file. We know that we've got a lot of layers in there. So you can see we've got our polygons, our points, our lines. You can get a lot of information from here by seeing how many records are within each data table, when it was last modified. You can grab more information simply by just clicking on the record, and we can see when it was added, when it was last modified, which maps it's linked to, the permissions on this specific layer. You can even go in and take a look at the data itself. If you wanted to load in data as a table format, an Excel data table, and you had your XY coordinates, you can use the georeference tool to create a geographic file. You also have the ability to manage some of the data fields. If I were to click on one of the data fields here in my block groups, you can change the data type, the precision. If you needed to add any units like dollars or percentage, you can do that directly from your portal. Another great tool is the ability to add and manage your users. It's just as simple as hitting an add button. You just need an email and a name, and then you can set their specific permissions, and it'll send them an email to sign up, and they'll be on their way. You can manage or view what's been going on in your maps, who's been viewing, who's been making edits. You can download all this data to an Excel. Very simple to keep track of what's going on within your portal. And on the portal is where you will be downloading your software to create maps. It's as simple as hitting the download button and it'll install on your desktop. I'll show you a little bit of what the CartoVista publisher looks like. Here we've got an example of the CartoVista window and publisher where you'll connect your server directly to the publisher to add data. It's as simple as dragging and dropping into your map. This is where you will manage your properties such as interactivity, adding your data, creating your styles and labels, adding visibility ranges. All of your map configurations will happen in the publisher. Adding specific tools and features is all done through here. Creating your initial themes for your users will be done through the publisher. And once you're satisfied and done creating your map, you just simply need to hit publish and it will upload directly to your portal. To get you started with CartoVista, we have an excellent resource base. It's full of great, useful documents. Our GIS team worked extremely hard at creating this library for you. You've got your how-tos and how to get started. It's very simple to use as well. If you wanted to search a keyword, I wanted to check out how to style my points, I can just type that in and you will get returned with all records of how to style points. You can see we've got so many resources to get you started. So I really encourage anybody to, when they're getting started with CartoVista, to use this as a resource because we've worked so hard on it and it's there for you to guide you and to help you get your maps to the web and to your clients and customers. For today, that we just scratched the surface our on our software. So up next, I'm really looking forward to speaking with all of you on your project specific and how we can help you and how CartoVista can be the solution for you to get your maps onto the web and to reach all of your viewers and users.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alexa. Great presentation. In the meantime, I had the pleasure of taking a look at our feature poll, and it looks like we won't be able to do it because it hasn't been updated. So I'm going to skip the feature poll, unfortunately. So we'll slide right into the software trial, which is the key piece. This is where you come into play. If you haven't done so already, you can easily request a trial from our website. There's actually a button right at the top, big green button called Request Trial. You can click on that, just fill in the form. We'll get a portal up and running for you. We have also the capabilities if you'd like to brand this for a proof of concept. And again, this is all free of charge, so it will be a pleasure. Alexa, we have put our contact information here. Alexa has already invited you to connect with her in case you need some help or you've got questions. Same goes for me as well. I am available if you guys have questions, and we really want to support you in your trial and as you test the software and test the possibilities. So it will be a pleasure. All right, so there will be more webinars coming. This is we just scratched the surface as Alexa's said here. There's a lot to talk about in the software, and we will be coming up with new webinars in the upcoming months, which will likely be more feature oriented. So we're going to talk a lot about grids, potentially about different modules. CartoVista is a software that keeps evolving. We keep adding more and more functionality, so it's under heavy development. So you will likely see some new things coming in, likely for you in the upcoming days. So that being said, let's move on to our Q&A section. In Zoom, you should see a Q&A section. So I'm going to invite you to go in and type in your questions for all of our attendees. If you've got open questions about the software, things that you'd like to know, I'm going to invite you to jump in and ask them. It looks like, Alexa, we've got a first question here. If you can read it out.
Is it possible to customize the CartoVista interface?
Yes, so the answer is absolutely yes. It is possible to customize a CartoVista interface. So what you need in this case is you need the software development kit. Actually, CartoVista comes with the full-blown software development kit, or SDK, which allows you to customize. So let's say you want to add your own tool or your own toolbar. It is completely possible to do that. All you need in terms of a language is JavaScript and some development skills. You can attach events to your map features. So let's say you want to add a pop-up when you click on an object on the map. That can easily be done. You can customize this up to your liking, and the power of HTML5 is the beauty is it all works nicely on mobile and pretty much any devices. You don't have to worry about it, and it's a great way to customize. So yes, it is possible to customize completely. We also have the CartoVista server API. Let's say you want to automate updating of data every hour. It's possible to do. Let's say your layer keeps changing all the time. You can write a script that will connect and will update your data on the fly, which is very convenient if you have live information and you're in the business of providing information to the public or disseminate data to your colleague, for instance. So this is something that is really, really useful. All right, very good question. Let's see if we have more questions coming up. Please don't be shy if you've got a question regarding the software.
Yeah,
Please
I think
jump
it's great
in.
to mention too, when you do sign up for CartoVista, there isn't any programming involved. The publisher is easy to use with a drag and drop to add your data. There's no coding or programming involved for you to get started and your maps published to the web.
Yeah, exactly. So in the meantime, we've got a few questions. Let me answer the
Yep.
first one. Does CartoVista work on mobile devices? The answer is yes, absolutely. It does work quite nicely on mobile devices because it's all HTML5. So we've made the choices when we design the software to design it with mobility in mind. So it is responsive as you work on even your smartphone, on a tablet. You can expect the interface to be still working and be available for that platform.
Yes, I check it out on my iPad all the time.
Yeah, great. Another question from the audience: what are the licensing terms? So you can actually buy a subscription to CartoVista. The way the pricing works is by user, essentially. So the basic entry point for the license of CartoVista is annually 3,000 US a year annual license. We'll give you 3 users. That's the entry point. So we're trying to come up with a price that is quite aggressive and different. You have the ability to publish an unlimited number of maps. We don't count the number of maps or whatever. So for those 3 users, you can publish an unlimited number of maps. You have quite a lot of data as well with that in that package. And this is a hosted environment where you can be assured that the performance of your application will be there. Alexa's presentation has proven that CartoVista is fast and reliable. So this is definitely something you can count on.
Yep. Can you sell a customized tool to the government?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, we have the capability to do custom work with the software development kit. So if you, let's say, have a government customer, there are several things that can be done. CartoVista can do the development for you, or yourself, if you're skilled or you have a team of people that are good in JavaScript or HTML development, they can do that themselves. We have actually a lot of partners that are building applications for their own customers. I mentioned in the mining industry, we have a few partners that are taking our software development kit that are building custom applications. And that's actually something that we will talk about definitely in one of the webinars, show you what can be done in terms of customizations with the software.
And how many vector features can you put in a CartoVista map?
That's a really good question for sure. So, and that's a trick question, obviously. With point layers, if you cluster them, we can actually deal with a lot of features. You can put, millions of features on a map. So obviously you don't want to show those million features on the map at the same time. So you have to be realistic and it has to make sense for the end user, because otherwise you couldn't make sense of this map. So the response really depends on the number of fields, the number of records, the complexity of the features. But we've worked with customers that have polygons, big polygon layers of 300,000 polygons that cover an entire country. Obviously, we set some zoom layering so you don't show all these polygons at once. But once you zoom in to a close enough view, we have set up the services to be smart in the way they index the data so that the performance is really good. All right, so it looks like we've got some very good comments from Ravi, one of our attendees. So thank you, Ravi, for your comment. This is appreciated. Very nice. We will likely be in touch, to answer additional questions. So if we don't have any additional questions, I guess, Alexa, we will close the session for this webinar.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure presenting for you today, and I look forward to speaking with all of you on your project-specific needs.
Yes. Oh, maybe another quick one as we leave here.
Yep.
Question: does CartoVista support 3D imagery? Actually, with elevation data, this is what we're doing right now. We're actually investigating this as we speak. Our research and development team or looking at, providing 3D capabilities and 3D views. So 3D imagery is something that is of high interest, especially in the case of, looking at flooding and things like that in those events. So we are actively working on this. So the answer is yes, we do support already digital elevation models. So if you've got elevation in your data in your GeoTIFF, you can easily upload it and visualize it. You can question it, obviously. And we will be working on a 3D view. I'd say for early in the year, we should have the capability to include the ability to look at this data in 3D. So very good question. All right, I think that covers it for today. So very short webinar, 42 minutes. So this is great. Thank you, Alexa, for your time as well. And we'll look forward to speaking with you. If you've got questions, it will be a pleasure for us to help you.
Have a good day, everyone.
All right, thank you again. Bye.